21st of July 2022, in Antibes, on the road. I stepped out this morning, brimming with Vietnamese tea. Paris Gare de Lyon is the epitome of a metropolis, with people sullen at 7 a.m. dragging their feet to get to work. When you plan a trip, you visualize in a very abstract way how you're going to experience it. Provence is beautiful. I don't yet know what sailing will mean for me, but I feel like a proud advocate of slow travel. "23rd of July, Mandelieu-la-Napoule Harbour. Here I am, suddenly thrust into the microcosm of the boat. Yesterday, a blazing sun and calm seas allowed me to take Calix, a 42-feet one-master yacht, out of the harbour at the helm, following the instructions of Yanni, who had appointed me second mate for the day. When the first waves caught and the first heeling occurred, the wonder was absolute. I was terribly tired, though, at the end of the afternoon, and I also had my first nap at sea, which was superb. Today, Clément was second, so I cast off my first moorings, hoisted the mainsail, freed the Genoa, which got stuck on the other side of the balcony, eased the Cunningham and more. I can't wait to get my bearings and catch up on my sleep. There's a lot I like about what I'm experiencing, and it is echoing something deep inside me. The others are ashore, and whenever I'm alone on board, currently in the saloon but in the evening in my cabin, I know I'm in the right place. At times, however, strange and dark, the heat falls on me like a pitiless, heavy hand, and I see everything in black. Anger, weariness, contempt, everything becomes hellish. For now, I'm enjoying the calm of the water, the sunset and the light evening wind. I'm trying not to think about Anselme, whose anger is gnawing at me, Milo, whose death is devastating, and Emmanuel, whose accident shocks me. I oscillate between the desire and the distress of solitude, between feelings of revolt and injustice and those of privilege. 24th of July. Today, I hung on to the Genoa to help us gain 0.5 knots of wind on smooth seas, which was great fun. Yanni nicknamed me Brooks after the brand of the Atlas, because surprisingly, I estimate nautical miles very well. We never have downtime on board. He's always either teaching or testing us. We get to know him little by little, and he's funny, elegant, precise, and interesting. He's a good, handsome human being. I wonder if there is pain behind his calmness. Oh, yes, I forgot. I got a bit landsick when I went to throw away the rubbish. It rocks consistently, which makes my stomach churns, so I think I need some time to adapt, on land as well as at sea. 25th of July. Clément confirms his position as second in command, and Amy is feeling left out. In the cool of the evening, I tried to soothe her frustration. We went over the content of the life raft in detail this morning. We also had 12 knots of wind, which was a first. Yanni told me that he felt ready to do 1,000 nautical miles with me aboard Calix. I deplore the fact that I don't have enough time to study more theoretical aspects on my own. Apart from the practical aspects, I should have done it before, as usual. 26th of July. Last night, I was dreaming that my teenage bedroom had a bilge and that it was taking on water. Third of August. I wake up this morning, the supposed day of departure for Greece, relatively serene and prepared for a 1,000 nautical mile crossing. My captain has earned my respect. Calix seems like a refugee, and the rest of the crew seems well disposed. I already feel a long way from the coast and everyone's lives. I haven't written for a few days. We've done our first night sailing and anchored at Cap d'Antibes. As my knowledge grows, I'm feeling more and more at ease. I'm only worried about hunger and lack of sleep. Anselme has started moving his things out of the flat. He's often calmer these days, but maybe it's the sadness. I miss Milo. The blue around me reminds me of him. Well, I'm off to replace all the medical supplies. It will take me at least an hour. 4th of August, at sea, 5:30.
No quiero cantar más de amor, no quiero hablar más de Abraham.
We can't really tell whether it is the Alps or clouds fading to the northeast when a relief appears to the south that heralds the arrival of Corsica. Sunrise is an irresistible eye-catcher. 7:30. Dolphins come to greet us. We hoist the spinnaker for the first time. 19:05. In my dreams, I'm living an absolutely incredible parallel journey. I helm Calix down the rapids of a river. Inattentive to depth, the boat's keel jams, sending us tumbling over the bank. We stop for lunch at a restaurant in Corsica, in a futuristic mountainous landscape. I receive an email from the Regional Cultural Affairs Office telling me that she's an old Greek lady who has sympathy for me and that they'll judge my funding based on my face. Dreams. We've put solar panels and a hydro generator on the deck. They're in the process of stowing them above my head. We've done a lot of motoring since we left. I've seen whales. The vegetables are suffering from the heat. 5th of August at sea, 2:50. In the sea, there are jellyfish, and beyond that, a starry vault, unprecedented. The jellyfish got chopped up by the generator. I tried to pull them off the propeller with the boat hook, but their sticky jelly clung everywhere. Behind us, huge ferries were going by, and I was laughing out loud at Yanni, who was devastated by the mess. 7. 1 knot is equal to 1 nautical mile per hour. 1 nautical mile is equal to 1.8 kilometers. If a coastline is 25 nautical miles away and we're traveling at 5 knots, we'll reach it in 5 hours. 7th of August at sea, 6:25. Sunrise with Clément. Yesterday, there was a bit of tension because everyone was very tired. I proposed a different watch formula. It's based on the rules of each person, defined as follows: the captain, the night watchman, the chef, and finally the sailor. The roles rotate, except the captain. I must say that Yanni is the only person on board that can physically run on 5 hours of sleep a day, split in different naps. Being the night watchman, I'm going to bed now. 16:23. The sea is beautiful. Amy's understanding smile is an unfailing support for which I thank her. 8th of August. 16:30. A romantic exit from Messina with 18 knots of wind and a storm to starboard. We were exhausted, but I stayed on deck with the captain, drunk from sailing in such beautiful conditions. A dense grey cloud was rumbling, and I couldn't tell if it was the sky or the earth, as the volcano Etna is there. The wind was changing direction all the time, so Yanni gave me the helm and he set out to maneuver the sails. We all merged together and danced. We will remember the sardines on the pontoon of Messina, the overly sweet pastries, and the fuel on Calix's deck. I was able to call Mom, who is in Italy, inspired and moved by our respective journeys. In front of us is the Ionian Sea and its newfound isolation. 10th of August, 22:25. We made a dazzling crossing of the Ionian Sea with 17 knots of constant crosswinds for at least 24 hours. This enabled everyone to get some sleep. The arrival around Kefalonia was remarkable. Here, the sea has a special presence and the coastline is magnificent. I like to surprise myself, and there was no better way to discover this mythical land. The wind is blowing strangely, so I'd probably be spending the night on deck. I love sailing when conditions become more complex. Yanni invited me to come back with him, and more if I liked. He talked about transatlantic in winter, then sailing around the world. He also asked me why I was doing a PhD, which is a very good question. Because I don't know what else to do, because it sounds smart, because it allows me to push back the deadline again of what do you want to do with this life? 11th of August, Egan Sea, 17:10. Yanni has let go last night. Rather than sleep, he stayed alone on deck with me for the whole of my watch. We were sailing, invisible and silent, between two coastlines, coasts on which the lights of the living were reminding us that there was a world somewhere. He has thrown off all social conventions to tell me that the universe was telling him I was special. I grew up surrounded by gurus, so I laughed, and all my defensive walls went up. What is he trying to do? Then the sun rose, fantastic, and hundreds of dolphins leapt around us in the liquid rays. You see, they know, he said. Arriving in Greece arouses more emotions in me than I thought it would. This land of myth and legends that I've imagined and studied 1,000 times, will know much more than that. In the afternoon, we crossed the Corinth Canal. This evening, we will already be in Poros, and this first crossing is coming to an end. Grief keeps me from sleeping after having news from Anselme. I have to make some choices for this new year, and my only desires are to write and to be with my family. 14th of August, Poros, 4:10. Amy and Clément are leaving tomorrow, and I already miss them. Yanni expressed, among other things, that he'd like me to stay a few more days with him and his friend Litsa. He's crazy, but brilliant, capable of the worst and the best, like all people with great power. What I'm experiencing is strange and surprising. This crew, though, doesn't feel like mine. Anselme would like me to stay away from unhealthy people, but they can also be brilliant, sensitive, and ambivalent. Richard, from Greek Sales, is an inspiring character who seems well balanced. I love listening to him, and I'd love to go sailing with him and the locals. 15th of August, Hermione, 11:52. We are about to set sail for Hierakas. I'm alone with the captain and Litsa, now second in command. I discover how other people sail and why it can be called a holiday. 17th of August, Kiparisi. I roam the wild magnificence of the islands, coves, and cliffs. I sing Libertad at the top of my lungs in the ruins. I pray and I cry. 20th of August, Poros, 1546. I have just left Calix for the first time in weeks, despite the urging of Yanni to go on a cruise with him and his family that has arrived. He is becoming possessive. Litsa has been a confidant, an emotional support, and a reassuring framework to help me say no. I'm really supported by these kind strangers who know how to love without being cautious. From now on, I'll be relying on Richard, the boss of Greek Sales. He's a monster of intelligent tenderness. The sea, or rather the wind, continues to call me gently. I know that the wind, which is filling the sails and the hull splitting the water, is a caress to my soul that undoubtedly makes me smile. I'm looking forward to joining the guys on the dock. What an adventure. 23:10. I was welcomed on Ariadne, one of the Greek sales boats. Little Dimitris from the dock team, who speaks French, welcomed me and helped me to feel at ease. He's very clumsy and attentive. He dropped off a crate of food for me, which I was delighted to find on my return. I went for a beer with Richard and an Irishman, with the promise of some sailing in the week to come. The Irishman then invited me for another beer on Enigma, where I met Panayotis, the guy who will be guiding the flotilla leaving tomorrow. A flotilla is a small group of boats that go on a cruise together. Finally, I was invited by my Flemish neighbors for a glass of wine, which I declined because I was already drunk, but we had the pleasure of discussing the Moroccan dessert and sailing. Surprisingly, I have some skills for a beginner. Yanni, in all his splendor, has taught us a lot in a short space of time. So far, I have 1,300 nautical miles under my belt, including night sailing under several different sails. I feel so privileged tonight that I'm terrified by so much happiness, as if it were all a lie or an illusion. I'm being received in a setting I wouldn't have dared to dream of. Why me? I'm so afraid of disappointing people, but nobody expects anything from me. 23rd of August, Poros, midnight. My mind is gradually freed of Yannis's presence that was becoming suffocating, and I reconnect with myself. Last night on Ariadne, I hosted Clément, Amy, the Irishman, Dimitris, and another guy from the dock. We laughed and recounted our memories of the crossing. It has been 10 days since we arrived. Their presence gave me an immense pleasure. They were like an anchor in this foreign world. It was a moment of genuine joy. They're gone now, and tomorrow is my first day with nothing to do but look after myself. My relationship with Anselme is calmer, and that does me a lot of good. Lita has written me some beautiful things that fill my heart. She also thinks that my seafaring adventure is just beginning. This afternoon, I felt a strong desire to be at sea, like a healthy need to escape. Tonight, I feel home, alone on this boat. My mind fills the space and I feel good in it. My time here is a priceless gift. 25th of August, Poros, 10:43. Tonight, I leave for Athens. I spend a day there, then live on a flotilla with Richard's daughter Isis for a week. On my return, we immediately set sail for France. The departure window is tight because after that, the Meltemi, that northerly wind, is likely to blow very hard. Yesterday, a former Greek Navy told me that I underestimate the sea and that a transatlantic crossing is a very dangerous trip. I'm glad someone gave me a gentle wake-up call. 23:45 Athens. It is fantastic to be here. What use did we make of the fading day? Currently, a very good one. 26th of August, Athens. 7:10. First night sleeping out of a boat since Paris. I slept badly, despite the soft sheets. As soon as I close my eyes, my body jerks and I wake up startled by the stillness of the bed. 10:10. Temple of Dionysus. When I was younger, there weren't many people I could share my world with. Now I have the impression that it's starting to overflow out of me, if anyone would be paying attention, of course. And on this archaeological site, I'm listening to the Daimonia Nymphes album that maybe 10 years ago summoned these figures from the past in my teenage bedroom. 30th of August, Hierakas, 1630. I didn't call Mom for her birthday. It was my first day on the flotilla and I was probably too preoccupied. I'm sailing on Enigma with Isis and Dimitris, who are both 23, so it's a very different experience of sailing. I say sailing in inverted commas because all we're doing is moving around under engine so that we can sail in straight lines and go fast. We hoist the mainsail for greater stability, that's it. I care a lot about human relationships, however recent they may be, and the fact that a lot of things are done in English, which I don't master, or in Greek, which I don't master at all, in a discipline in which I lack experience, makes things slightly anxiety-provoking. Add to that Yanni's pressing presence at Hermione on my first day of the flotilla, who, as he said, wanted to surprise me. I'm really questioning the wisdom of this return crossing with him. I want to do it for 1,000 reasons, but the journey could turn into hell. The world seems to be full of dysfunctional families and toxic people. The trick is to identify the ones who are really harmful and not let anyone have any control over me. The fact remains that I'm still not making any decisions for the school year and this transatlantic crossing is really appealing to me. Yesterday, at night, we took the dinghy and glided along the water in the dark. The yellow anchor lights mingle with the stars. I throw myself into the water, I laugh, I imagine. I see in sailing little by little the possibilities of innovation opening up. Richard continues to inspire me. 31st of August, 10:15. It was a pleasant evening listening to Isis tell me about her and her father's disastrous journey on a supposedly new boat that was taking on water. These are probably the most formative moments. I've spoken to Mom on the phone and set a return date, arranged my move. My landscape is likely to change a lot. 4th of September, 2044. It is what it is. 6th of September, Ionian Sea. 1300. After a superb night sailing in 17 knots of wind, watching the waves tinted with red by the navigation lights, ignoring our existence, I had to go to bed. I returned my last moussaka to the toilet after Yancy had done the same overboard. It seems that I'm ill, and Yanni insists that we keep going and I rest. We came across a drifting sailboat, buoy in the water, life jacket hanging from the stanchion. We reported it to the Coast Guard, giving its position. Without Yancy, I don't know how we could have continued. She is extremely reliable. 8th of September, off the coast of Sicily. Midnight. Alla deriva, and a guilty conscience. I'm getting better. These are the only words I wrote that day, but as I record this logbook, I would like to say a little bit more about it. I wanted to board the drifting yacht we saw to rescue anyone who might be there, which is against international law. I knew it wasn't wise, but I thought it was necessary as a moral duty. Yanni refused, not wanting to put his own crew at risk, which I understood. At midnight, we heard a call for help on the VHF from a man saying that women and children were in the water. They couldn't give their position precisely. The Coast Guards replied indifferently that they wouldn't arrive for another 2 hours, and forbade any vessel to approach a floating object, heralding a migrant situation. The position of the drifting boat was then updated to the position at which we had received the call for help. The drifting boat was in fact full of migrants, hiding when we passed by. We were sailing in the Mediterranean, close to the Italian coast, so we knew this could happen. I was angry and clashed with the captain. I couldn't go against his authority, but couldn't get rid of my guilt. 10th of September, off the coast of Rome, 1430. Captain's birthday, full moon, night helming, and Genoa, which seems have given away while being on a big wave. The boat drifted backwards. I decided to turn on the engine to keep control of the boat, but forgot to look in the water before to make sure there was nothing that could get caught in the propeller. After early morning repairs, we're making headway with the staysail. Monstrous, painful tonsils. 13th of September, Valbonne, 8 in the morning. I am on that famous course everyone talks about, and I'm rushing because I'm in a hurry. Exhibition rooms, the tours, works on display. I look around vaguely, but I am moving fast. Finally, after passing a sign on the wall indicating Chapter 4, I think to myself that by rushing like this I might be missing out on the journey. I agree with myself to slow down and go through a side door. There are people in this labyrinth, and in this case, there were 2 girls interested in a fortune teller we are allowed to ask a question to. Why not? I thought. You've got to make the most out of it. I waited my turn. The first one went through, the second one gave way to me. I sit down, and there's a child playing in the room. The clairvoyant takes out her crystal ball and tells me that she sees Paris on fire. The child playing looks at her and cries. I ask her if I'll be alone at the time. I can't remember the answer. I go outside, this time on crutches, and strangers follow me as we chat. Oh, the 30-40 war, one of them says, obviously. I'm in the streets of Gagny, looking for building materials. People ask me for help crossing the road. There are more and more of us on the rubble. 16th of September, Le Canet, 7:52. I am leaving Yanni after spending more than a month and a half with him, filled with a new determination. He has enlightened my mind, my perception of myself and my projects. I am eternally grateful to him for what we have already experienced. 17th of September, Clermont-Ferrand, 1300. I had Anselme saying horrible things to me on the phone, but I'm arming myself. I have a new and very different awareness of what I'm worth and what I want. The captain entrusted me with his treasure map.
No quiero cantar más de amor, no quiero hablar más de abrazos.
I have 3 months ahead of me before a potential extended departure. I am living again. My teenage inspiration wasn't a phase, it was the cry of my soul. At last, I'm allowing it to come out again. 9 of October, Gagny, Mom's house. Cyprien playing a few miraculous notes. The captain on standby. Couscous at Benjamin's tomorrow. My brother's faces. A childlike smile and faith in our future. We, who feel we are writing history, who will we be? We smile, sweat, and mourn our past vain efforts, rich with hours of thought about the meaning of this vast dance. Chekhov's Russian touch reminds us, we will all die. Is it a question of panache, or is it a question of a flickering precious flame called humanity that we protect with our inner fires? 6th of November. I feel like I'm back. My world comforts me. I am my home. At any price, the strange misery that is freedom. I know, therefore I am. For the time being, I have the right to let my creative fury live without it costing anyone anything. We are finally going to reconcile all that. What did you want as a child? The literature and the sea. You haven't drawn the outlines of it yet. To the will of the people. It's like the footprints in mountaineering. You have to look for them, but the signs of the universe are there. I have to follow them confidently, learn to live with them, walk on my Ariadne's thread and be satisfied not knowing what's behind. 8th of November, on the road from Cannes to Paris. 15:13. Gradually convincing myself that I'm worth something for reasons other than my intellectual capacities, reasons other than physical qualities, but for my deeper essence. I'm learning things about the world. Mathematics, physics, chemistry, sensations, everything is slowly coming together, moving towards muchness. Calix is ahead of me. So is the Atlantic, and so much more.